All right, everybody, good evening. I'm going to go ahead and get started so that we can leave here in a timely manner. First, thank you for taking time out of your busy lives and come here today. I know it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. A lot of you guys just didn't work. I know some of you guys are getting ready to cook dinner. But this is typically the best time for us to have the meetings for me to get the most people to attend. There is really no perfect hour. We've had them in the daytime, but then people that work couldn't make it. Have an early afternoon, people at work can't make it, or they got to pick their kids from school. So 5 o'clock has been pretty much the going rate time because it's around that time when people are getting out of work, they're already picking their kids up from school. I understand that does interrupt dinner time and other things, but I know you don't want to be here at 9 o'clock at night before bedtime. So this is probably the perfect time for us to have it. In order for me to answer everybody's questions and make sure that everybody gets their voice heard, that's the reason why we had the sign-up sheet for people to say, just put their name down, I'll call you, you can stand where you're at and ask your questions. I do it that way because if I just have it open-ended, it'd be a lot of disruption. One person will say something that somebody else wants to, then they're gonna say, I picked this person first, I didn't pick this one. I'll go in the order of the sheet. That way it makes it more fair and everybody can be heard and there'd be less disruptions that way. Not that there's any disruptions gonna happen, but it's to prevent that from happening and everybody gets their voice out. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jose Rivera. I'm the chief of police here in the city of Chicago. I've been here my whole life. So born and raised here, still live here. I'm pretty much at every city event. I try to make it to every city event that I can. I do my best to get back with everybody, but it could be challenging at times. There are times where come in the morning, I'll have 20, 30 emails I got to get back to. And it's very difficult because everybody has their own problems and they're all unique. And I try to give everybody the same amount of attention. And it gets very difficult. So sometimes it's easier for me to have a big meeting so I can let everybody know what's going on. And especially with some of the important issues that you're starting to see on social media. So the one thing about social media, it's good and it's bad, right? So you'll get information on social media and immediately you think it's true. Or immediately you think, well, it has to happen because somebody put it on Facebook. And it's not true. The majority of the information that's out there is rushed. You got people that belong to these apps where they're scanner apps. As soon as they hear something, they're putting it out on Facebook. They're putting it on Instagram. And people are saying, oh my God, this is what just happened. But they will not put the correction when that's not what really happened. Sometimes they'll say something happened in Chicago and it didn't, it happened somewhere else. They'll say, oh my gosh, St. Catherine just had 3 gunshot victims in there. But did they know that we actually are a hospital for Hammond, Gary, Chicago, Whiting, Cal City, and the east side of Chicago? So they think that, oh my God, there's gunshot victims every day in St. Catharines. East Chicago, crime is out of control. That's not the case. We're just short on hospitals. We're fortunate in this city to have a hospital. And as you can see, hospitals are closing down. They're turning into clinics now. And that's starting to be a problem for certain cities and towns. Again, we're blessed and fortunate to have our own hospital, but then it does come with its own problems. We have a great working relationship with St. Catharines, but again, I just want to make sure everybody knows that just because somebody goes in there doesn't mean it happened in our city. But you'll hear that immediately on Facebook and Instagram. You'll immediately see, oh my God, another gunshot victim at St. Catharines, another carjacking person at St. Catharines. All these police are at St. Catharines. No, you gotta remember all those agencies utilize St. Catharines. So that's one of the reasons. I want to put that out there because those are some of the phone calls I get all the time. What are you guys doing about St. Catharines? Oh my God, what's going on? No, they're helping people. That's what they're doing. So our hospital just so happens to serve many communities. St. Catharines is not East Chicago's hospital, it's everybody's hospital. So that's one of the issues that I wanted to bring up right off the bat. Again, my goal today is to inform everybody on what's going on and actually tell you the truth, what's actually happening, and to explain some of the things that are going on out there. The one thing that I get the most questions on are crime statistics. What is the crime rate in East Chicago? During the election, you would have thought we are Chicago in the North. Everyone was saying, crime's out of control, murder rate's out of control, oh my God, what is happening with East Chicago? In actuality, we made Channel 7 News, our homicide rate dropped 50%. We went from 10 homicides in 2022 to 5 in 2023. Of the 5, we saw 4. 80% success rate. The national average is 52%, which means they solved just about half. Nobody brought that up. Nobody talks about that. And that's a positive thing. What that's telling you is that not only are my officers, but my detectives are out there working hard every day. But as soon as something bad happens, that's the only thing we'll see. How many of you guys saw the post about the remains found in BP or in East County? How long did that run on social media? You'd have thought we had a serial killer out there in 2024. But I can tell you that those bones have been there for a long time. And now people want, well, who is it? How come you guys don't know who it is? What's going on? Should we be worried about something? No. So both those incidents with the skeleton remains are separate incidents, but did not happen this year, last year, or the year before. So we're still waiting for results. It is not that easy to identify a skeleton. So right now we have the coroner's office working on it, but no, there's no serial killer out there dumping bodies. It takes a long time for your body to turn into a skeleton.
Yes.
It's not something that happens overnight. So it's unfortunate, but is it uncommon? No. No. When you have industrial area, when you have wooded and brushed area, those can be dumping grounds in any city or town. And that's what it looks like. So I won't get too much into those cases because they are still being investigated, but I did want to bring that up because not just the media, but even the public have been asking question after question after question about these remains, and is it something they need to worry about? No, it's honestly, both of them, again, without getting into too many details, are both isolated incidents. We have an idea about both cases. Again, I cannot get into details, but they're both isolated, separate incidents. And it's not like some serial killer out there just dumping bodies all over Chicago. So that's not what's happening. The crime statistics, when we say crime is down, and it's been down every year for 12 years, people say, well, how do you get those numbers? That's the other question we get. How do you get the numbers for crime statistics? Is that politically motivated? Is that me as the chief trying to look good? No. I'm going to be the chief if it's crime is up or down. Right? It's almost like your business is good, you need more police. So, no, it doesn't benefit me anything to lie about crime statistics. So the way it works is every single department, not just the East Chicago Police Department, every single department in the United States must report their crime statistics monthly to the FBI through a system called NIGERS. It's your National Incident Report Writing System where all our incidents have to report it monthly. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to have to keep repeating this, all our reported incidents. This is why we harp on the public to call everything in. Because the more you call it in, the more statistics we get, the more statistics the FBI get, the more resources the city of Chicago can have. But if you don't call stuff in, it never happened. You know it happened, I know it happened, but if you don't report it, it didn't happen. That hurts us as a community because we want those resources. We want those federal resources, we want them state resources, we want them local resources. I want to say, yes, I'm getting X amount of calls from Sunnyside, I'm getting so many calls from the South Side. So I need resources there. But if I don't get any calls, what does it look like? Nothing's happening. So we need those calls, and that's how crime rate is actually put out there. It's not us. Every year the FBI puts out this report, we make it public. If you don't believe when it comes from us, you can actually go to the NIGERS FBI website and they'll print out every community. Again, it does us no benefit to sit here and lie when it's public record. If I tell you homicides went down 50%, then you go look at the record and it says it didn't go down, it went up, I'm the one that looks bad. I'm only recording what the FBI reported a year ago. So, yes, in Chicago, crime is actually down. And again, especially violent. Now, I know the other question we have a lot is shots fired. Shots fired in different districts throughout the city. We know, based on our shots fired technology, where it's happening. What we're trying to figure out is why. One of the main reasons is when the law changed and took away the permit process for handguns. What that did was put guns in everybody's hands. I'm a Second Amendment activist, had guns since I was 18, since the military, love guns. But the one thing I'm for is responsible enforcement. Not just anybody having a gun and using it as a toy. And that's what we're having, and that's what we're discovering out there in our community. When you have, this past weekend, 25 rounds fired in a residential area and nobody shot, what does that tell you? One, they can't shoot, so that's number one. But number two, a lot of times, they're shooting to be shooting. Like fireworks. We had one on 138th Street where they actually shot to the ground. They're shooting just to be playing with the guns. That's just part of the problem. That's one part of the problem. And how to address that is difficult because, again, our hands are tied when it comes to people carrying guns. So in case you didn't know, just the way I can't wear my uniform, but if they want to carry their gun openly like us, yes, they can. That's not illegal. That's like calling the police on somebody for carrying yourself. That is not enough probable cause for me to address them or approach them unless they're doing something else. Now, if they're carrying their gun like this, they got a ski mask about the office out of bag. All right, now I got a little bit more reasonable suspicion to believe that some crime is afoot. Now I can actually send an officer. But if they're just walking, oh, he's at a park, we have a city ordinance. No guns in parks. State law says you can't have that gun. What is he doing with that gun? So there's more to it. It's not that the officers don't want to do their job. We have to be very careful. There's a thin line we have to follow where liability and accountability. Now, if my officer approaches that guy and something happens, there's some force, what was our main reason for approaching that guy? Because he had a gun on him. Now there's liability and accountability on my side. We have to be doing something else. And you might think, well, that doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Because when we get sued, who do you think's paying? Taxpayers. So you might think, who cares about a lawsuit? Oh, you will when that lawsuit is in the seven figures. You will when that bloodshed affects policing, fire, garbage, park department. Yeah, it will. So that's why I have to be very careful with my officers and what they can and cannot do. It's not that they don't want to do it. And I'm telling you, we get these calls quite often. That's one of my biggest complaints. The officers did nothing. I have video of 10 guys walking at 10 o'clock at night down the street. They can't. Oh my God, my neighbor has company. He's on the front porch drinking. Can't. And these are actually real calls and complaints. Not that I don't empathize with you. I do. But you have to remember our hands are tied. It's actually illegal. I don't make the laws, we just enforce the ones that are in place. And if you can't enforce it, there's a 99% chance I'm not going to send my officer there because it can lead to something else and more liability on us. I can't tell somebody what they can and cannot do on their property unless it's obviously illegal. So that's one of the biggest complaints we get. But I just want to let you know, not that officers don't want to do their job. They really do. They really do care. But they also have to worry about liability. And that liability falls again on the taxpayer. We want to make sure that we're not doing something wrong that's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And again, lawsuits, an easy lawsuit can be in the six figures, and that's us winning the lawsuit. That's just defending a lawsuit. So we're trying our best to limit that exposure because, again, at the end of the day, I'm not just the chief, I'm a taxpayer here, and I want all the resources that we have, and I want nothing taken away because of mistakes. And we're, of all the city entities within the city of Chicago, we're the #1 easy one to get sued because of what we do for them. So I have to limit that exposure. But again, the crime statistics, not just homicides, but our robberies, our aggravated assaults, rapes, and weapons offenses are all down. Wow. So it is true. That's something to look at. That was one of the things that was brought up over the summer. And oh my God, violent crime is up. Actually, not at all. I'll tell you what is up. Auto theft. Who owns a Hyundai or a Kia? Because if you do, there's a high chance it's probably going to be stolen. For some reason, Hyundais and Kias, there's an app where these kids can actually take your car without the key. Very easy. We'll get into the details, it's being recorded, I won't teach these kids how to do it, but it's very easy. So we've been having a lot of auto thefts, and it involves mainly Hyundais and Kias. And they're the newer models. So the older ones, they're lucky because they don't have that high-tech stuff in it. The newer ones are being stolen. Is it a Chicago thing? Absolutely not. It's Chicago, it's Hammond, it's Munster, it's Highland, it's Sheriff, it's Hoover, it's Gary, and it's Chicago. So it's everywhere. So that's one of the biggest things. So those of you guys, everybody knows what you know what the club is. That's probably going to be your number one deterrent if you want a Hyundai or a Kia. Just putting that old-fashioned club on the steering. I don't know if there's any other new updates. I know Hyundai at one point made an update, then criminals got smart, and the number one thing is if they see a club out there, more likely they're not going to try it because they know there's going to be another 10 Kias or Hyundais involved. So if you into stocks, I'd invest in the club because they're being sold out everywhere. So that's one thing when it comes to our primary is the auto thefts. Our shot spotter, the nicest thing about our shot spotter is you've seen the city of Chicago ended their contract with shot spotter. Horrible. Because shot spotter, what it does is, it's not just a detection system for shot spotter. It actually tells our officers within 25 meters exactly where the shots are being fired at, how many rounds are fired, and now we know how to respond. That actually helps us with, as far as the lane time. If I have to rely on people calling, especially once it's nighttime and it's quiet, traffic's down, it's the middle of the night, I can hear shots fired on the south side of Chicago. I'm thinking it's in my backyard. So I'm calling the police, and my officer on this side of town, in actuality, it's over there. Shot spotter actually puts us at the location. That saves so much time. The other thing that it does is it gives us a general area to look for evidence for those shot spotters. So shot spotter to us is valuable. We've had it for 10 years, and I don't see no time soon us getting rid of it. I can't explain why Chicago got rid of it, but they're not my concern. But we do get big problems here. I like to advertise that we have shot spotter, and we're going to continue to have it. We're not getting rid of it because it does play an important role for officers, and it's a big thing on officer safety. They know what they're getting into. They have it on their phones, and they have the app in their computer in their car. They can actually hear the gunshots be replayed, so they know what they're going into. So just from the officer safety standpoint, to me, it's worth the money. So shot spotter is actually something that we truly appreciate. The other issue we've had is 138th Street between Grand and Elm. Shots fired probably for the last 6 weeks. 6 weeks, going back and forth. A lot of you guys haven't spoken to your councilman. I know you guys have your own special meeting. We are investigating. The issue that I have is that one of the people responsible for the shots being fired actually lives in that area. Whatever I tell the councilman, as he's telling all of you, that person's being informed as well. So I cannot give that information out. I prefer you guys call us because I know what to tell you and what not to tell you. I know what information is being leaked and what should be leaked. But there is an open investigation. The issue when it comes to shots fired in that area is we need a victim to cooperate and witnesses. We actually know one of the people doing the shots fired. We had a resident give us a great video. We received several videos. 90% of the videos only show people walking and running. Still great for us to look at, but we have to know why they're running, where the victims running, or where the suspects. We don't know that. But there's one video that we were given that was actually amazing, that we're utilizing for our investigation. We're able to identify them, we're able to identify the victim. Victim isn't cooperating. That's different. You know, your house gets shot up, and you're threatened, but then you don't cooperate. I can't charge the person without the victim. I need that victim to cooperate. If not, I'm wasting resources on a case that I know is not going to be taken by the prosecutor's office. So that's where we're at right now with that issue in that area. We added more cameras over there. We added extra patrol, but we still need somebody to cooperate. Because without that cooperation, I don't have a case. There's nothing to do. We need that victim cooperation, we need that witness cooperation. And I understand that people say, well, I don't want them to know or I'm afraid. I understand that, I do, I really do. But you also have to realize that there's nothing we can do about that. Sometimes you have to speak up. Because if you don't, it's going to continue. This is a perfect example of an area for over 6 weeks. It's been back and forth with these two families. And we're doing our best to get around it and try and get charges another way, but that takes time. That takes a lot of time and resources because, again, we're working without victim and witness cooperation. So unless my officer physically sees it, it's difficult. So that's why we're adding more cameras, more patrolling, to try and get to the bottom of it, but we are addressing that issue. I just can't get into details of the situation because, again, the person lives in that area. Anything I say, that person's going to hear it. So I'm not going to get into too many details of it because I don't want to impede the investigation. Loose dogs. Man, that's probably, besides shot fire, that's probably not the one. Loose dogs. So there's only so much we can list with this. I understand. Oh, but once they pick the dog and put him in the squad car, do the treatment, take him square. Oh my gosh, Sheriff does that too. They don't have the high call body that I have. If you call us, I can't arrest them all. You can't tell the dog what to do. I can call animal control with them. It's a no-kill shelter. And that's not going to be motivated. Veterinarians are moving forward with no-kill shelters. You need a veterinarian to put that dog to sleep. If the veterinarian doesn't want to do it, then we're going to keep that dog until it passes. So when our shelters are full, they're full. They're full until that dog passes or somebody adopts them. So we're encouraging residents, responsible residents, to adopt these dogs. Because if not, they will stay almost like life in prison inside our animal control. So it's not that animal control doesn't want to respond. There's nothing to do with the dog. There's nowhere to put it. My officers, there's only one thing they can do, and we're not going to let that answer. If it's vicious, there's only one thing we can do that. We don't have any trained dog whisperers. We don't have a facility to put that dog in. And as an animal lover, that's the last thing we want to do, but we have to put it down. I don't want to be in the habit of putting dogs out. That's a whole other liability issue. If he misses that dog, the dog attacks my officer. That's a whole other issue. But that's the biggest problem we have with the dogs. We get called probably daily about a loose dog somewhere. There's only so much we can do. There's only so much we can do, and the answer, a lot of times, is not what you want. Now, we are trying to work on that, but it's difficult. We can build on to animal control, and it get filled up in other ways. That much. Now we have more dogs to pay vet bills for, feed, and care for. It's another expense. So that's not really the answer. The bigger you build it, the faster it's going to fill. The answer is actually adoption and stop buying these dogs when they're puppies and they're cute, they get rid of them. I'm not blaming anybody here, but that's basically what's happening. It's not cute no more, go be free. And that's the biggest problem we're having. We've asked other agencies to assist, but they're all full as well. So other cities and towns are just as full as we are. So it's one of those situations where I don't really have the right answer for that.
that's how much money it is. I don't really have the right answer at what the solution is going to be. So for right now, we'll do what we can if it's aggressive, but if it's not aggressive, more than likely we'll let that dog go. Because animal control is currently we're working, we joined forces with the Lake County Prosecutor's Office to join their homicide task force. So what that does is I have a sergeant that's a detective that works for the Lake County Prosecutor's Office. Any homicide that happens in our city will be investigated by the prosecutor, my officer, state police, excise, and Gary Bailey. That's a team. So now instead of one detective coming out, we have an entire team coming out to investigate. What that did was took a lot of pressure off my detective. So they can now spend more time on other cases. So now all homicides will be handled in the prosecutor's office with an actual prosecutor supervising the homicide. So it's probably one of the best ventures we've joined in the last probably 8 months. But we haven't since July of last year, we haven't had this, which is great. But if that doesn't happen, they also investigate any serious shootings. And again, that alleviates a lot of pressure and time for my detectives so they can handle other things. So that was something we just joined in the fall, and it's actually working out great. The other thing we just joined is the regional SWAT team. So what that means is we haven't had our own SWAT team in probably over 10 years. We relied on the Sheriff's Department, which we still do. We love the partnership we have with the Sheriff's Department, but we wanted something that we can have at a moment's notice. So we went ahead and partnered with the regional Northwest Regional SWAT team in January. So now we have our own SWAT team that handles any emergency calls. It could be active shooters, it could be school shootings, it can be hostage situations, any type of negotiations. We have an entire team that now helps us. The Northwest Regional SWAT team is composed of 13 police departments, soon to be 14. And we all work together as one large SWAT team per year. So at any given time, if I was called for assistance, I will be getting anywhere from 30 to 40 officers that can respond from all over the county to assist. So it's actually a good partnership and a huge cost savings for us because it only costs us $4,000 a year. If I was to get my own SWAT team, it would be in the 6 figures per year. And that's just training equipment and maintaining equipment. That's not even the cost of some of the stuff that has to be used. But it was, again, a great partnership and a great thing for the city of Chicago because it's something that we haven't had in 10 years. But as you look across the country, we see more and more mass shootings happening, we see more and more school shootings happening. We want to be prepared. I don't want to wish I had one when it happens. I'd rather have one before it does. I don't want it to happen in our city, but if it did, I want to be prepared. So that's the reason, another reason why we joined. I know last year we had a real close call with a car shooting, where a shooting happened in a large crowd. And it had to be handled by our officers. That was a situation where the guys had a SWAT team. We got the guy in custody, we got the guy charged, nobody died. But those are the situations like that that got me thinking, man, we need our own team so I don't have to have such a long wait and ask a favor for somebody else to come. So I'm glad that we're a part of that. We also just recently purchased an explosives canine. Our officers actually in training right now with an explosive detection canine. The reason why is we're getting a lot of false bomb threats. It only takes one real one to do damage. We have BP, we have fire, we have steel mills, we have all the schools. It's nice to have an actual our own bomb detection dog here in our own city and not to borrow somebody else's. We have a lot of things going on in our city. We saw just having that BP recently. We want to make sure that it's not something that is criminal in nature that's happening. So if we get called to a suspicious package or a bomb threat at a school, at least we have the resources needed in our hands to assist us. So that was something that we just purchased and we still training them. Once we get them out of training, we'll, at our next meeting, we'll introduce you guys to actually all our cameras. Trailer cameras. We have 6 portable trailer cameras. I know that currently we have 850 50 cameras throughout the city, citywide that we monitor. But we also have trailer cameras. You might have seen them in your neighborhoods. We've got one, Sunnyside, Northside, and Harbor right now. The way we deploy those, so everybody requests to have a trailer camera in there, on their block or in their area. Right? Everybody wants one because once we put it there, it's recording live, everything. We go based on call. That way there's no favoritism. So when you ask for one, or a council person asks for one, and asks for a specific district, we're going to check the call volume. Because when you have 6, we want to make sure they're in the right locations. Everywhere we put them at, the problem actually went away. It literally went away. Because they know that it's recording live. The last one we did was on Calumet on Alexander, and they actually recorded a homicide live a couple years ago. Where we did all the information. So those trailer cameras do work very well, but again, I need you guys to call things in. So the way we go by call volume is dispatch calls. So if you say there's a problem on the 3800 block of Grand, I run the 3800 block of Grand and see how many calls I've gotten in that area. That's how I determine if I'm gonna put it there or not. Because I can't justify putting it there just with 10 calls, and then 3800 hemlock and 100 calls. I'm gonna put it in the other area. So that's how I deploy those cameras. We also deploy them in special events. So any blind spots in the city, I won't give you the blind spots, but if there's any blind spots in the city, sometimes I put them out there as well. And then all our special events, so that we can monitor our special events properly. So we can see the entire event, especially when we have them in the park or at in the beach. You know, there's cameras there. We put more cameras out so we can capture everything. The shooting that we had at the car show, that's captured by our trailer camera. We had cameras in the parking lot. Our trailer camera actually caught the best footage. So they really do work. We're going to continue to put them out there, but that's how they work. Don't be afraid. We're not looking into your house. We're not putting them there to stalk somebody. It's there because the call out. So if you see a trailer camera somewhere, it's the call out. People are calling in, and we're sticking them out there. If we have an uptick in auto thefts, we're probably going to put them in that area. So that's the main reason why you see those trailer cameras out. And you can't miss them. You cannot miss them. So they're huge. Our Intel Center. So our Intel Center, one of the things we're doing now is hiring overtime to work our Intel Center full time. So I hire guys on the side, my own officers, to monitor the cameras, our light signators, and our shot spotter while officers are on the street. So on top of dispatch, sending calls out, our officers can then check the cameras as you're calling things in to see if there's anything caught on camera. And we can monitor it live as it's happening. So we're one of the few departments that actually has one. So that right behind you upstairs is the actual Intel Center. We've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology. And we're going to use it now so that, not that we're not using it, but we're using it on a part-time basis, but I want to use it on a full-time basis. Because that gives me more eyes on the streets and the officers as well. I can monitor all the cameras all at once. I can monitor more districts and streets on screens than what officer can do. So that's one of the things that we're doing up there. Lake County 911, they do not want to us. I always bring that up at every meeting because that's my complaint. Oh my God, 911, when I call them, they got 1,000 questions. Oh my God, they're so rude. Oh my God, they're overran. In order for the city of Chicago. I take the complaint, I forward it to who I forward it to. But what I will say is that don't be confused when you call 911 and the dispatcher is asking you a lot of questions. Somebody else is dispatching out to the officer. What's going on? Don't think that they're not dispatching. Don't think that, oh my gosh, the officer already. Why are you asking these questions? There's a call taker who's taking the calls, and there's a dispatcher that's dispatching it out. As the call taker is asking you the question is, she or he is typing it on the computer, the officers can see it, the dispatcher can see it. What they're doing is giving the officers the most information they can so that they can get there quickly and safely and know what they're looking for when they get you. That's all it is. So they're not wasting their time. It's not like the officers aren't showing up. They're just trying to get as much information from us as possible. Because again, remember, our officers are going in there blind. You know what's going on because you see what's going on, you heard what's going on. The officer's just going based on the information you're giving him or her. That's why they're asking those questions. But just know they're being sent. They're being sent out. So just know, but again, they don't work for us. All I can do is forward your complaint to Lake County 911. But there's nothing I can do disciplinary wise to a dispatcher. That's something we have to go through the process of. So we get the complaints, all I can do is forward them, but I can't do anything to the dispatcher. They don't work for us. Hiring process. We've been hiring now probably, what, on 10 years straight. But if you keep up on social media, everybody's hiring. Everybody's hiring. The days of spending 20 years in the police department, over. Most guys come to a police department, spend between 18 months to 3 years. And how about to the next one? We've actually had one officer that left us after about 18 months, went to another agency for more money, went to another agency for less money, and now it's on this fourth agency. So those days of staying loyal to your city or the department, those days are over. You're not going to catch them. Those are very rare. It's not an East Chicago thing. I have monthly meetings with chiefs. It's a problem that we're all dealing with. Is how do we keep these officers to stay to the department? It's different. Everybody wants to be a supervisor. Everybody wants a law. Everybody wants to take over power. Everybody wants more money. Everybody wants to be a detective. Can we have some lineage? So they jump to the next one, the next best thing, the next best thing. And it's just a never-ending cycle. And there's not a solution yet. So if you look at Facebook, look up every police department's Facebook page. 90% of the agencies that they come in. And we're all hired at the same time. So you might ask, hey, why are you guys all hiring at the same time? Change it. Well, we have one academy. We all have to go to the academy at the same time. So the hiring is always going to be around the same time, so it's a competition. First one hires, first one get them, and sometimes during the process, we hire someone, the next day, you know what, they're going to hire them. They get 3 or 4 phone calls. Because right now, being the police is not popular. So everyone's hiring, it's kind of like the housing market. It's the sellers game, not the buyers. So that's the problem we're having with the hiring process. But in the last 2 years, we've hired 18. We have 25 retired. So we're playing catch up. The good thing now is, it's good and bad. I see both sides of this. 80% of my department is ineligible to retire because they're so young. We have a handful that can retire. That's good and bad. Because we lost a lot of experienced officers, but that was because they had no time to retire. Who's going to turn down a pension for the rest of their life? They're not. So they retired, being taken over by young guys and women. And now it's us training these young officers. It's a little difficult because we have to not just teach them the laws and our police here, but a lot of them are from Chicago. Every agency does things a little bit different. Everybody enforces the law, everybody polices to enforce laws and ordinances, but everybody's town is different. And that's the hiccup we're working on. It's trying to get that community engagement with our officers. So far, we have a positive response. The officers are actually being more positive about it, but that takes time. It takes time to develop that veteran officer. It takes a lot of time, especially when I have them for a few years, we got them trained, and then they leave. And we're starting all over again. So again, we have to be patient. But we do have enough officers on the streets. We have unlimited overtime, so the guys are making great money out there. We don't have a call backlog. So what does that mean? When my officers go on duty, they don't have a screen full of calls that they have to answer. The majority of our response times are under 2 minutes. Everybody has an example of when it's not. Absolutely, I can't say that every single call will go to 2 minutes. Because there are times when we have an accident, it takes 4 officers to deal with that accident. Directing traffic, or whatever the case may be, or if there's a call at a school or at a business, it might take more officers. So then we have to prioritize. A violent call is a call that's actually happening now that we'll respond to. If it's a report call, probably wait. Happens rarely, but it does happen. But I will say, when our guys go on duty, we don't have that call log like some departments do. That's how we determine if we're short-staffed or not. If my guys went on duty and they got 10 calls to answer, we're short-staffed. when my guys go on duty, the majority of the time there's 0 calls on that screen because the previous shit took care of it. Calls are being handled as they come in. That's how we determine if we're short-staffed. Then we compare ourselves to other agencies our size. For example, Portage. Portage is a population of 47,000 people with a manpower of 57 officers. We're a population of 26,000 people, we have 52 officers. Everything we add to pretty much matches the population. They got more population than us. They got more businesses than us. So we're able to handle the call. So when you hear that rhetoric of, oh my God, we're so short staff, that's why they don't answer calls, that's not the truth. We have the network. Does that mean we're not going to hire? Of course I'm going to hire. Why would they keep allowing me to hire? If they tell me I can hire 50 people, I do. I will. But I'll have to be responsible with that money. I have to be responsible to you guys as taxpayers. So I have to be very responsible with it, and we are. So again, we are actually manpower, but we are still hiring. The biggest one, nuisance complaints. What is a nuisance complaint? Nuisance complaints can be at businesses or residents, especially renters. Huge problem. We fine-tuned it in the last probably 2 years, where this is where call volume plays a big part. So that they don't say it's Chief Rivera coming after me. It's Councilman such and such or the mayor coming after me because they don't like me. The way we determine a nuisance is based on the complaints. One of my officers will tell me I've been to this resident or this business this many times. We've had this many shots fired called, this many disturbances, this many issues. Then what I do is I look up that address and I compare it to other locations in that area. So if I have an apartment on 30,000 random being calls, and I've been there, say my officer's been there 12 times a year, I'm gonna get the other apartments in that area and show that I have 0 calls. We give that landlord or that owner one option. Come talk to us, fix your problem. That's your warning. Come in, fix that problem. Get another call, then we cite it under our nuisance ordinance for $2,500. And then every call after that, you keep getting cited and we work with code enforcement. Very successful. So at one point, when we first started this, we had probably 14, 15 addresses that averaged 700 calls total in a year between those locations. Once we called all the landlords in, once we started issuing citations, once we started meeting with them, it dropped down to under 100. Following year, it dropped down to about 20. Because we started enforcing the nuisance ordinance. Part of that also is we'll go after your rental license when you can't rent it. So I encourage you guys to please call in those situations because it's very successful. Very successful ordinance. Most of the time, 90% of the time, we don't have to issue a ticket. 90% of the time, it only takes me talking with code enforcement and the landlord. Addressing the issues, we give them a call, tell them what's going on, and we give them an opportunity to fix it themselves. Whether it's an eviction, talking to their renters, or whatever it is that they do. Most of the time that works. Sometimes it doesn't. So one of the issues we've had recently, Bravo's Bar, that's one of my biggest complaints I've been getting with the nuisance complaints. Loud music, whether it's shots fired or disturbances. So I've had actually had supervisors call that they responded and the doors were locked. So opportunity was granted to come in to speak to us. Nobody showed up. So what we did was, we don't stop. So we did contact excise to follow the report on what's going on. So now excise is involved, they're assisting us, and so is code enforcement. But again, that takes call volume. The more guys complain and call, the more we can do something. But I can't do it by myself. But we are getting the calls, and it wasn't enough for excise to actually do an investigation, and it wasn't enough to get the liquor board's actual attention. Again, it's something that we're going to continue doing, and no, we're not picking on one bar. We're comparing to the other bars in the area. But I get those calls on bars. Somebody's going to say, oh my gosh, you had a homicide at this bar. That other bar gave us video, complied, gave us statement. Oh my God, there's a problem at the gas station. Gas station gives us video, complies, calls us, gave us statement. That's what we look at, the bigger picture. The bigger picture. Who's helping, who's not. Again, I'm responsible to the residents. You complain, they have an answer. It's still happening. That's what we're doing, and that's what it takes to continue. Sometimes the process is slower than it should be, but I have no control over that. All I can do is report what I have, and then go from there. So again, we want to make sure when we do something that we have all our ducks in a row. We want to make sure we have everything in order, and that we're doing it properly. Sometimes that takes a while. But just know that we are, and it's just a process we have to follow. One, to be fair, make sure everything's done legally. So that's how that's being handled. Other than that, last thing, in the front, you'll see our Citizens Academy. People that are ambassadors. If you guys want to know more about the police department and how we do what we do and why we do what we do, if you want an inside look on the police department, join the Citizens Academy. We have it once a year. It's 6 weeks, 8. So it's an 8-week program, once a week. It's done at night, normally done in the late summer, fall. And what it does is every week we talk about something different. We have it here at the police department, and it's more of a one-on-one communication with the residents and business owners in our city. It's a wonderful program. We've been doing it for 10 years. And once you graduate from it, what we do is we make you an ambassador. What that means is we ask you to come to our public meetings, to come to our outreach programs, and help us speak to the community, to be basically our advocates. Because you understand a little bit more than the average person, because you took this program that kind of explained everything that we do and why we do it. We've also expanded from that program. This year, Commander Kasi, I won't put him on the spot, but Commander Kasi got a grant where we're now going to have a youth citizen academy, so that we can actually engage with the youth and have them also kind of see what it is that we're doing, why we're doing what we do. So that will be the first time we've done that ever. It's going to be this summer. And it's actually a nice program because, again, it's engaging with the youth and they can have a better understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. So the other thing on top of that, the last thing is we have a jailer program. So a lot of people ask us, well, what about a cadet program or an internship? I think something that will benefit the department, the city, and that person. So we have a jailer program where we hire college students to work here while they're in college, learn about the department, but working in our jail, and we work around their hours. So they can go to school and then come here and work and actually learn about the police department inside the jail. And it's actually a successful program. We actually are hiring our first jailer to work with us as a police officer. And it's very successful. It's better than an internship because you make more money, you learn about the job, and you get hands-on experience. And then you make the decision if you want to be the police or not. We encourage you to be an East Chicago officer, but if the person wants to go somewhere else, we're fine with that. The best part about the program is we have a full-time jail. We have the third largest jail in the county. It has to be manned. Typically, we man it with police officers, but what does that do? It takes an officer off the street. What this program does now is it's manned by civilians. Now those officers that used to work in there are thrown in the streets where they're needed. And now we can run the jail with civilians. So it actually helps us out, and it helps us with our manpower. So it's been pretty successful. We're going to start the program again, hiring probably, I would say May or June. We'll be hiring more because we have one that's been hired as an officer and one that's going through the process. So we're going to need more. So it's something, if you know anybody interested in law enforcement, and they don't have to live in the city of Chicago, we can utilize them. We'll give them all the training, cost them nothing, they just apply, and it's a great program, especially for college kids. So all you have to do is be 18 years old, and we can help you out. Today we're done right now, it's past 6:30. I'll stay for a little bit longer for anybody that wants to talk to me afterwards. But thank you again for coming. Our next meeting, I will post it. It will be probably at the McDonald's, kind of East Chicago side, and then it'll be done in the morning. And it'll be a coffee with God, similar, where you can address your concerns with. So thank you guys for coming.